throughout the Old Testament, God's people are being encouraged constantly to remember the mighty deeds of God. That refrain comes across many, many times. And the Jews, in their wisdom, recognized one way to do that is to create a festival. Put it on the calendar. That way, there'll always be that reminder. And we know that can be a powerful thing. 9/11 will never be the same. It's a date we'll never forget. Well, the church saw the same wisdom as the Jews, and so we created a liturgical calendar with feasts like today that we can stop and remember those things that are important. Now, this feast day, we can trace it back to the Celts in Ireland. October 31st was the Celtic New Year. The Celts believed that there was a thin veil between the physical world and the spiritual world, and on that night, the spirits might come back. And so they would leave various offerings. Well, this is the beginning of that practice that we continue called extortion. Trick or treat. But you see where that comes from. Well, Patrick and the church in Ireland recognized that the Druids weren't far wrong. They just didn't have the whole picture. What they were talking about, we recognize as the communion of saints. Those who have died and gone before us are still very much a part of our lives. In the book of Revelation, we see them standing at the throne of God, offering prayers for us. How long, O Lord, will your people have to endure these struggles? Now, think about that for a moment. These are saints in heaven. They could just be enjoying themselves, but they find room in their hearts for us. So we recognize in this communion of saints, our family. We are not alone. So, the church decided the best way we can complete the picture is the next day we parade all of the saints before the world. We show God's triumph over evil, the victory of the saints. Now, that day was referred to as All Hallows, and the vigil was All Hallows evening, and we see where that becomes Halloween. We also recognize, though, that Halloween without All Saints is a meaningless night. There's no real point to it other than the collection of candy. But when we add the saints to the mixture, we see the whole picture. And we're reminded that there are things much more important than the candy. The blessings that come from our communion with the saints. Think of how poor we would be without holy days to remind us of all of the good things God has done for us. and the promise that he has made that we hope to be fulfilled in eternal life.